What's up, noobs? I'm Greener, this is Greener Gaming. Log in and let's go!
So today I want to do something a little different. Normally I make gameplay videos, but today I want to talk about something that's been bothering me. I mean, I've been bitching about it now for days on Twitch, and I feel like I just need to get it off my chest in an organized, coherent manner. And it's stealth aggro rogue, or stealth weapon rogue, or I just fucked your girlfriend in your own bed while you were at work rogue, or whatever you want to call it. It's a problem. By the way, if you want to see me absolutely lose my shit about it, you can check out my VODs over on twitch.tv/greenergames. Yeah, that's twitch.tv/greenergames. Because I've been going nuts about this bullshit for days. Stealth Aggro Rogue is arguably the most feels bad deck in the game right now, and here's why. Everything in this deck is insanely cheap, which is not strange for an aggro deck, but rogues have access to an insane amount of card draw these days, which is why this deck feels so broken at the moment. And you can thank cards like Secret Passage, a 1-mana draw 4, Greyheart Sage, a 3-mana draw 2, Swindle, which is a 2-mana draw 2, but if you got your boy Foxy Fraud, it becomes a 0-mana draw 2, and Cutting Class, which looks like a 5-mana draw 2, but because of, all the weapon buffs that you're gonna get, it really becomes like a 0-mana draw 2. Aggro used to be a high-risk, high-reward archetype because of the limited card draw. But nowadays, with the insane amounts of card draw, aggro decks are 0-risk, high-reward. And of the no-risk, high-reward decks, I think this particular rogue deck is the greatest offender. And because of all the cheap card draw, and everything in this deck is cheap, and because they run cards like Penflinger, Eviscerate, and Sinister Strike, it turns this aggro deck into sort of a pseudo OTK deck. I mean, it can't do 30 damage in a turn, but it can certainly do 15 or more. More often than not, when you play versus this deck, you're dead by like turn 4 or 5, which again isn't abnormal for aggro decks, but most aggro decks of old had counterplay. There's not a whole lot of counterplay to this stealth aggro rogue deck. I mean, the deck isn't interactive at all. Most of the time, you're just watching your opponent play the game, and you can't do a fucking thing about it. Okay, so you might be wondering, why isn't it interactive? Well, it runs mostly stealth minions. Cheap stealth minions. So unless you're running a bunch of early AoE spells, you're kind of fucked. And all those like 3-1s, 2-1s on the board, that damage adds up fast. And then there's the weapons. Most notably, the self-sharpening sword, or as I call it, get this weapon out of the game before I have an aneurysm. Okay, so self-sharpening sword is a weapon that every time you attack with it, it gains +1 attack, which on its own is like not the biggest of deals. It's annoying, but it's not like game breaking. But what makes it so busted is the very cheap and abundant weapon buffs that rogues have access to. Volpera Scoundrel is a 3-mana give your weapon +2 attack. Not everybody runs it, but it can be frustrating at times. Then there's Deadly Poison, a 1-mana gain 2 attack, but by far the most broken card in this deck list is Nitro Boost Poison. It's a 1-mana weapon buff corrupt card that you can corrupt with basically, anything in your deck, and it gives your weapon and a minion +2 attack each. And since all your minions have stealth, there's a good chance that that extra attack is gonna connect to your opponent's face. So when you combo all of your weapon buffs at once, which is really easy to do, again, because they're so fucking cheap, you can sometimes get like a 10 attack weapon by like turn 4 or 5. Even if your opponent has Acidic Swamp Ooze, you still got another self-sharpening sword in your back pocket. Plus, there's always your hero power, which is a weapon. And some lists are even running hooked scimitar. So you'll have ample opportunity to run all of your weapon buffs. When I play against this deck, I'm usually dead by like turn 4, maybe turn 5, but just when you see the hope on the horizon, oh, by turn 6 or 7, I'll be able to stabilize. Well, bud, that's 2 days past your funeral. Cause you're thinking, oh, if I could just drop this big taunt down like this Kartut Defender, or a Strongman, or hey, even in some cases, an early Scrapyard Colossus. They either sap it off the board, because some decks run sap, and then they smork you into the next life, or they don't even care that the taunt's even there. They go over the top with the pen flingers and the 0 mana eviscerates, thanks to ya boy Prep, or ya boy Foxy Fraud. So you tell me, where's the counterplay in all that? You tell me that getting hit in the face for lethal on turn 4 by a 10 attack weapon doesn't feel worse than walking in on your parents having sex. Or try to tell me you love the feeling of being waterboarded by a fountain of pen flingers that seemingly never ends, to the point where you wake up at night screaming, "Hey loser!" No matter which way you slice it, this deck feels bad, man. I do think there are a couple of ways where we could tweak some things to make this deck still viable but seem less oppressive, and overall just less feels bad. Like if Nitro Boost Poison was 2 mana instead of 1, it would still be a good card. It would take just a little bit of extra work to corrupt it. Maybe that gives your opponent that 1 extra turn where they can find some sort of stabilization. I do think Secret Passage is way too strong. I know it was nerfed. It used to be a 1 mana draw 5. Now it's a 1 mana draw 4. Hey, guess what? Still too much. Either up the mana cost to 2 or down the card draw to 3. But right now, hey, it's too much. It's too much. And I still think, even with an extra nerf on Secret Passage, it would still see play. The problem cards in this rogue deck aren't rotating this expansion. So, this smorky, bullshitty, pen flingery, PTSD style deck is probably going to stick around for a good while. And I don't know about you, but my butthole is sore from being constantly fucked. And it needs a break. You gotta heal sometime, right? Maybe the new expansion will give us more tools to deal with such an oppressive style of deck. But, the cards haven't been revealed yet, so anything is possible. And I want to live in that world where there's a possibility of my anus not bleeding every time I log into Hearthstone. Isn't that the world we all want to live in? Anyway, thanks for letting me rant. I know this is a different style of video than I normally make. Hope that's cool. If it does well, maybe I'll do another one. If it doesn't, maybe I'll never do another video like this ever again. But I needed to get it off my chest. I hope you're not as tilted as I am, even though chances are you probably are. But just keep your head up and we'll get through this onslaught of bullshit rogues together. He didn't just fuck your girlfriend, he fucked mine too. Anyway, GG.